You're listening to The People's Pitch, the official podcast of Minneapolis City Soccer Club, brought to you by FootballStadiumPrince.com. Let's start the show.
And as I talked about just a couple minutes ago, as Joe Watt stands over this one, he appears to be the one taking the penalty here. This is a huge confidence booster if you're a Duluth.
Worst case scenario for City right here.
And it stopped! Yes! And it stopped!
Totally
Matt
redeems
Elder.
himself.
Matt Elder redeeming himself. Oliver with the right foot. The shot of the goal!
Oliver!
Justin Oliver will break the scoreless tie. And it is 1-0 Minneapolis City. Is Hutton now on the offense with the left foot. And it is now 2-0 Minneapolis City.
Good finish.
Nick Hutton taking his quick victory lap.
Get ready to plug the good stuff straight into your earballs. This is the People's Pitch Podcast, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City SC. As always, I'm your host, Nate, joined by my partner in crime, John Bisworm. John, what is new in your soccer world lately?
I mean, lots. We joined the USL2, so there's that. I was on 3 or 4 podcasts to talk about it, so I got kind of sick of talking about USL2. Also, I've resigned to the fact this is the year I'm not buying FIFA.
Oh no!
Yeah, I just don't have the time to dedicate to it anymore, man. And so you're gonna have to carry the load on our yearly FIFA introduction show, which will be coming up here in a little bit. But no, man, I've just been chilling, dude. In my my oldest son Gus is playing soccer now, so I'm a soccer dad now.
Yeah, much excite. Very cool.
Yep. So this week, pretty cut and dry episode, folks. We will be bringing in a player, and it's been a long time since we had one, a little over 6 months. We'll be bringing in Minneapolis City 2 co-captain and striker Derek Oelmann will be joining us this week. It has literally been 6 months since we had a player from the club grace us with their appearance on the show here. And this particular guy was about as hungry as they can get to be on. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Iowa assassin, MC2 striker Derek Oelmann. Derek, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us.
I'm doing good, guys. Thank you for having me.
Finally got you on. Now you can check it off your bucket list.
Finally, seriously. I've never actually been a podcast guy until I learned that you guys had a podcast, and I gotta go and listen to John and Nate, and it was always I gotta get on this, So I'm pretty excited for sure.
Well, before we get started, a couple of things that we want to mention about you, Derek. We kind of hit the highlights, everybody, before we dive in. Let you tell your story. So after a standout high school career in Iowa, you went on to kind of steamroll a career at Division II Upper Iowa University, where you were voted 3-time All-Region, second-team All-American in 2010. You were the Upper Iowa Male Athlete of the Year in 2011-2012. You are the leader in both goals per career and goals per single season. You also are a single season points leader, and all of that wrapped together is 44 career goals and a total of 102 total points. We'll unpack this in a bit, but you then moved on to play in Australia for Woden Valley FC, now going by the name Woden Weston in the second division, where to this day, I looked it up, you still hold the single season goal scoring record of 29 in the second division in Australia. Did I miss anything in there?
No. I appreciate you doing your research there, John.
I mean, I won't lie to I won't lie to the listeners. I did ask for some talking points, but then I did my journalistic due diligence and validated it.
Absolutely.
But, so we now that we've crossed that off, we also like to start off by asking players that come on. Tell us about your soccer journey. What was the pathway growing up as a young kid in the soccer hotbed that is Iowa, and kind of where you're at today?
Yeah, soccer hot pat. I mean, Iowa's obviously, they're known for their wrestling, right? So, I grew up in a small town of about 8,000. My high school wrestling team was ranked number 1 in the nation. So soccer was not really something that was even really like looked at, to be honest. I grew up playing 4 or 5 sports up until I was probably a junior in high school. It wasn't until I was a senior that I completely focused on soccer. I honestly didn't even play club soccer until my senior year of high school, and it wasn't until the Wartburg College coach. I grew up in Waverly, Iowa, which is where Wartburg College is. And it was the Wartburg College coach that kind of told me, like, you should do ODP or you should play for a club team. So I did ODP the summer between my junior senior year of high school, and met a few guys there that asked me to come in, or I guess suggested come and play for their club team down in Cedar Rapids. So my senior year of high school, I played club. First year that I played club ever. A lot of those guys went on to play D1. There's actually our goalie still plays for FC Dallas. Actually, he played a couple of games last year. He's their third string goalkeeper. So really good goalkeeper, really good team that I was able to play for. But yeah, I mean, like I said, growing up, like soccer wasn't really too much of a focus for me until I got into being, maybe a sophomore, junior year in high school. And then, after that, I started getting, collegiate letters from a bunch of D3 schools, NAIA schools. NAIA is pretty big down in Iowa, so I got a few offers there. And then Upper Iowa became a D2 school not too long before I was in high school. So it was then that the coaches kind of, I would say kind of like sought me out. Like one of the coaches was one of our referees, one of our high school referees throughout probably up until I was a senior. So he was a referee my junior, sophomore, and freshman years. And so he, kind of sought me out because of that. He reffed some of my games, and he's like, we'd love to have you come out and check out Upper Iowa. So it was only about 45 minutes away from my hometown, so it kind of fit. I was able to go home. Like it was nice to be able to like be far enough away where I didn't have to go home every weekend, but it was also close enough where I could go home if I really wanted. Obviously, also with it being D2, they were able to offer scholarships and stuff like that, which was a big help coming from a small town and everything. So
yeah.
But I mean, like I said, I grew up playing 4 sports. I played baseball, I played basketball, football, everything. And down in Iowa, high school soccer's in the spring, so I was able to do all of that. So,
Nice.
So soccer wasn't, like I said, like a huge like pinpoint for me where I would focused on it until I was probably a junior, senior in high school. So yeah, that's kind of the background of what, my youth soccer, so to say.
Sure. I mean,
yeah,
in the past, Minneapolis City has really filled its ranks with alumni of regional colleges like Upper Iowa. Talk a little bit about kind of the strong D2 and D3 and otherwise soccer scene that really exists kind of out there beyond the city lights.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, D2 is, when you look at college soccer in a whole, right, you got D1, D2, NAIA, D3, like you get the best teams from each of those divisions, and it's pretty comparable. Like, you get a lot of D3 NAIA players that go on to play at the professional level. But like D2 being at a small school like Upper Iowa, it's kind of funny actually. If I look back a couple of weeks ago when we were at the season-ending kind of thing at Utipulse, and Jonah mentioned like, yeah, I was recruited by a small D2 school in Iowa, but there was no way I was going there. I was like, yeah, that's actually the school that I went to. So thanks for crapping on my school there, Jonah. I appreciate that. So if you're listening, Jonah, thanks. But no, it was a cool experience. We had a lot of kids from kind of all over the Midwest, and then we had a lot of international flavor in there as well. Scotland, Australia, England, kind of all of that. So you get a lot of that. And now, at the time, there wasn't a lot of D2 schools in the Midwest. So like our team, we were in a independent state. Like we didn't even have a conference. We didn't play any conference games or anything like that my 4 years there. So it was just all region games. We played a lot of NAIA schools and some D3 schools and stuff like that to kind of fill our schedule. But we did do like some trips to like Colorado, play D2 schools out there, Hawaii my sophomore year, which was really cool. Just kind of all over the place. But yeah, it's kind of cool to see the D2 level kind of grow over the last few years. St. Cloud now has a D2 school, or a D2 program with Coach Holmes up there. So it's kind of cool to see that. And D2 is nothing to, ignore. You get a lot of really good programs out of the D2. Out of NCAA D2. There's a guy that I played against in college. He went to a school out in Colorado, Tisho Akindele. He plays for Orlando, played for FC Dallas for a number of years, and he's like a starter for Orlando FC now. So, it's pretty cool. You get a lot of guys that you end up playing against that, still make it big and are able to find a career in soccer. So.
Derek, I'm fascinated by your leap to Australian professional soccer. It seemed so, I guess, random. How was a move to basically the other side of the world conceived? What were the first steps? What made you take the leap?
Absolutely. No, that's a great question. So I actually did a summer with the Minnesota Twin Stars, which obviously we're all familiar with here in Minnesota, right? Like you guys played against the Twin Stars quite a bit. Now defunct, obviously. I played a summer with the Twin Stars in 2012. And one of my teammates with the Twin Stars, I don't know, he had some sort of connection over there where, I don't know, he worked with Delta, the airline company. And so he was able to do like all these like flights everywhere for really, really cheap. And he ended up meeting like the president of this club that I ended up playing for over in Australia when he went over there. And he had actually kind of referred another player over to this club the year before. That player being, his name's Peter Marlette. He's actually the GM of Omaha or Union Omaha FC now.
Oh, wow.
So USL 2, I believe they are. USL 2 or USL 1.
USL 1.
USL 1. Yep. So Union Omaha. So they're in the same division as Madison, I believe. Yep. So he played the year before me. And then I met this guy through the Twin Stars. He's like, hey, like I've sent a couple guys over to this club over in Australia. It'd be an opportunity for you to play, coach, work, kind of all of that. Would you be interested? And I was like, well, of course I would be interested.
Dumb question.
I'm 22 years old, straight out of college. I've got student loans coming up. If I can put those off anyway, of course I'd be interested, So he kind of connected me and the club president through email. And so club president and I kind of emailed back and forth for a couple of months. And I think it was like November of 2012 or October of 2012. And he's like, hey, like preseason starts in January. We want you to come over. I was like, crap. I got to get a passport, got to do all this, like all of that. Like, it was like, I got to do this all super quick in order to get over there. But I made it work, and they had a host family set up for me. One of my host family's sons ended up being on the same team as I was. They had a coaching job set up for me with a private prep school kind of thing. And then I was able to find some additional work through working at like a cafe, like 20, 30 hours a week as well. Set me up with like a car. They gave me a car to drive around and everything like that. So
Nice.
it was, it was all kind of just random, I played the year before at summer of 2011 with the Quad City Eagles. And then in summer of 2012, I had the opportunity to train with the Minnesota Stars, but they weren't gonna like really play me. It was just kind of a training, like apprenticeship kind of. So I reached out to the Twin Stars and they're like, yeah, come and play for us. So I played with them, and that's how I met this guy. His name was Aaron Clubb, and he referred me to the club over in Australia. It was super random, it's crazy to think about, but the things that soccer can do for you, the connections that you can build, or like, the relationships that you can build and the connections that you can make it's insane. So it's super random.
So quite a few questions about Australia coming up here.
Yeah.
First off, was the car they gave you like a Ferrari, or was that what we're talking about here?
No, it was like a 98 Toyota Camry with a bike top, like a bike topper where you could put like your bike or your surfboard on. It was maroon color. It was super ugly, but it was automatic, where like over in Australia, a lot of the cars are like manuals, and I've never driven a manual before. So I was super grateful that it was an automatic.
Yeah,
if I'm being honest.
trial by fire on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was probably worth like $1,000 if I'm being honest.
Well, hey, any set of wheels will do at that point. So tell us a little bit more about Woden. Like, where is it located? And what was kind of day-to-day club life like down under, and then a little bit about the fans and the culture of the team, since that's kind of a big staple for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So Woden Valley is in the Australian Capital Territory. So like, a lot of people don't know that actually the capital of Australia is Canberra. It's not Sydney. A lot of people think Sydney's the capital. So Canberra's the capital. The state is called Australian Capital Territory. So each state, there's like 6 or 7 states in Australia, has their own National Premier League, which is basically like the second division of professional soccer over there. And so we were part of like the Premier League in the Australian Capital Territory. And Woden Valley, it's a club that's known more for their youth ranks rather than for like their first team and second grade ranks and everything like that. Honestly, in their whole history up until my year, they had never made like a finals appearance or a playoff appearance. Even my year, we were picked. There was 9 teams in the competition, is what they called it, or in the league, and we were picked to finish 8th, and we ended up finishing 4th. So very, very like youth based. A lot of their money comes from the youth, from their youth program, but very central to the Australian Capital Territory. And it was a very young team when I played. I mean, our average age, and I was probably one of the oldest guys on the team, and I was 22 years old.
Wow.
We had guys that were only 16, 17 years old starting for our club. And then
how did that line up to your competition?
I mean, the competition, we had other teams. For instance, there's a club called Canberra FC, which is very Croatian based. And then also Canberra Olympic, which is very Greek based. And they have a ton of like very veteran guys within their program. And, they probably average 25 to 28 years old. So we were definitely probably one of the youngest teams within the league. So it's pretty crazy. I was one of the veteran guys, even though I was new to the program. I mean, it was pretty crazy. I remember going over there and like the first practice, I'm like, man, how am I the oldest guy, one of the oldest guys on the team, and I'm 22, fresh out of college? Like, this is just, this is insane. Like, I didn't know what to think. I was like, what did I get myself into? So yeah, it was just different. It was a different experience. The other clubs within our league definitely had more money thrown at them when it came to like their players and like their sponsorships and everything like that. So it was a different experience for sure. So yeah.
What was what was the game day experience like? Like, did you play in sort of like if you think of like English league, kind of League Two type stadiums, or
No. I mean, I would say like our home games, we probably had, I don't know, 150 to 200 fans, a lot of parents, family, stuff
really?
like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't huge. When we played against like the bigger clubs, there were a couple clubs that had some bigger stadiums where like it held 4,000 or 5,000 fans that had, a lot bigger fan base and everything like that. But I mean, it wasn't huge,
Right,
to say the least. I mean, it just, yeah, it wasn't very big, but, yeah, I mean, like soccer's probably over there. It's probably like the third or fourth favorite sport. So like soccer's still not. I mean, most people would think like Australia. Yeah, it's probably like their first or second like favorite sport, but it's
but I mean
really
they've got rugby, they've got Australian football,
and then cricket is probably
Cricket,
another.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty crazy, but yeah. I mean, it wasn't huge, but I mean, it was still good competition. I would compare the competition to the NPSL. To be honest, if I would take the top 2 or 3 teams in our league over there in Australia, they would compete pretty well with our NPSL teams for sure. So
a lot of times we talk to people that describe like the playing styles in different countries and how they're very different. Like we've talked to people who've played in South America or Scandinavia. Max talked about his experience when he was in Italy, and now we're talking to you in Australia. Like, how would you describe that play style in Australian soccer? Does it have a distinct style or like a calling card?
It's very similar, I would think, to the U.S. Or at least what the U.S. is kind of aiming towards in terms of like you're playing out of the back. It's a very 4-3-3. Like almost every single team over there plays a 4-3-3, right? So the standard playing style is possession based with a lot of athleticism. You get teams where it's like the athleticism definitely shines through in some games, where like in Europe it's definitely more of like a skill set. You've got to have the soccer IQ, you've got to have the touch, the runs, the soccer, all that stuff, where Australia is still kind of getting there, or at least at the time when I was there. It's been it's 2021. I was there in 2013. It's been 8 years. So I mean, they're still growing. I mean, it's kind of like the U.S. and the fact that like they're still trying to find their identity. Just like the U.S., like the Australian national team hasn't really done much when it comes to the World Cup. So they're still trying to find that. It's a very, very young, immature program, so to say, where like they're still trying to figure it out. But the country in itself stems a lot from like England. You get a lot of guys that come to Australia from England. My host family was English based. Like my host dad has English what's it called, citizenship. My host brothers have English citizenship, all that. So, but yeah, no, it's very different. Or I should say it's very similar to the U.S. in that like, it's just not there yet, but they're working on it. So,
Derek, what does that season look like that you score 29 goals in? Like, from a player perspective, this is like you just kind of showing up, living with your host family, and then it's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to pop off for almost 30 goals this season.
Yeah, I was going to bag in a whole bunch.
It's crazy. It's crazy, guys. First 5 weeks, didn't score one goal. My coach, actually, our manager, wanted to send me back to the U.S., if I'm being honest. I didn't score one goal. I scored one goal in preseason, and then like the first 5 games, didn't score one goal. He was not impressed with me. It was kind of crazy because like his son was actually on the team, and his son was probably 3 years younger than me. And his son, I remember like the game before I got dropped. So I actually got dropped to our reserves team for a game. But the game before I got dropped, his son like completely like walked off the field. He was like, "Nope, I'm done." But yet I was the one that got dropped, and then his son stayed on the first team and ended up with like scoring a game-winning goal the game that I didn't play. But it was actually the best thing that happened to me because I was able to play a game with our reserves team. I scored 2 goals, almost a third, and it just I was able to regain my confidence. You know, I was in a new country. I didn't know I didn't know anybody, right? And I hadn't really formed a ton of relationships at that point. Only 5 games in, like, you know, we started our season in March. I got there at the end of January, so I hadn't really had a ton of time to really form a lot of relationships other than with like my host family and with like the people within the club. So I wasn't feeling super comfortable. So yeah, I mean, like I didn't have a great first 5 games of the year. And so our manager dropped me, was able to do really well in the one game that I played with the reserves. And then the very next game with our first team, I scored a hat trick, and that kind of kickstarted just like, honestly, if I don't toot my own horn very much. Like, one thing I was taught as a young kid is like, be humble. And I absolutely try to be as humble as I can. But like, that was probably the best. I don't know, like it was like 10 or 11 games. It was 10 games. I think I scored 22 goals. Like the next 10 games that I had after being dropped to the reserves team, the next 10 games I scored 22 goals. And it started with a hat trick the very next game. So I don't know. I mean, it was pretty crazy to think about, like, when I look back at it, and like, it definitely was the best thing to happen to me, getting dropped, regaining my confidence, and then just like having the coaches have confidence in me and my team have confidence in me and everything like that. So yeah, it was crazy. So like, game day experience, it was pretty professional, but yeah, I mean, it was a lot of fun. So
see, kids, don't give up when your coach thinks you're shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I look at it this way, like, my coach and I didn't always see eye to eye, but I think he saw something in me, and he's like, obviously, you haven't been doing well. How can we get you to spark, or how can we spark you up to like get to your full potential?
Here's a plane ticket home. Now go start scoring goals.
Yeah, exactly. It was just like, hey, like, go down, play with the reserves, get your confidence up. Honestly, our reserves coach, like, the one game that I played there, our reserves coach is just like, hey, Derek, like, I know you're not happy with being here, but honestly, I'm just going to give you full reign and just like, you go and have fun. Like, that's all I want you to do. So that was huge. And then, yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, the next 10 to 12 games was just insane. Like, I had never, in high school and college, I had never had any sort of, goal scoring spree like that. So
when you catch a heater, you catch a heater.
Exactly.
So after winding up in Australia, not being able to go back because of some hosting issues. You made your way back to the States. You played a little bit in Iowa. you come to the cities. I know the answer to this question, but how did you end up getting involved with Minneapolis City?
Yeah, so I mean, I played with the Des Moines Wanderers in the summer of 2019. So that's how I first heard of Minneapolis City, because we actually ended up playing against, I think it was your U23 team at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So played against, like, I think I remember, if I remember right, I'm pretty sure I played against like Will Orser. I played against
Ethan
and Gibby and like some of those guys that were, younger at the time. So when I moved up to the Twin Cities, I was like, okay, I know I've played with the Twin Stars before. What's going on there? I'd heard that they had been defunct and completely dropped out of the competition. So I was like, how else can I get involved? And honestly, I think if I remember right, it was like a mutual friend of mine that said, hey, like Minneapolis City has like an open tryout coming up. And so I moved. It was, if I remember the date, it was like November 8th is when I moved up from Iowa. And November 11th was when your guys' tryout was. So it was like 3 days after I moved up.
Perfect.
It was like, let's get after it, So,
put the boots on, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, no, let's not waste any time. So I went to the tryout. I remember getting there and everybody being super friendly. Adam introduced himself. He's like, hey, Derek, glad to have you here. Looking forward to seeing how you play. I feel like you guys did your research on me. I mean, I feel like you guys probably do that with every player that goes to an open tryout. How, where does this kid come from? Where does this guy come from? What's his background? What's his accolades? That type of thing. So I was super grateful when I introduced myself, and Adam and you, John, were like, hey, yeah, absolutely. And we're glad to have you here, everything like that. And I remember the first 5-10 minutes of the tryout talk that Matt had to us. And he's like, the biggest thing, and this is one thing that sticks out in my brain. The biggest thing here is don't be an asshole within, Minneapolis City. That's the biggest thing that stuck out to me. And that's one thing that has always stuck with me. Just don't be an asshole. So I went through the tryout process. I remember getting brought back for, I don't know, it was like a trial, I should say.
We move players from the open trial to more like the preseason kind of combine, and then we make our final selections.
Yeah, exactly. So I was able to go through kind of like your guys' combine, and at the end of it, I remember getting an email. I think it was from you, John, where it was like, hey, we're not going to offer you a spot within Minneapolis City, but we want you to come and play for our MASL team, Stegman's. And I was like, I actually already have an MASL team that I had already committed to if I didn't get a spot on Minneapolis City. But I definitely appreciate it. And I obviously hope that you guys kind of keep me into consideration. And I remember receiving the email back from you that was this is what not being an asshole is like. We appreciate you giving us that feedback and everything. So, yeah, I mean, that was super nice. And then being able to play, I mean, I got to know some of the guys through the tryout and seeing them in the MASL last year when, the NPSL was canceled and all that stuff, being able to play against them in indoor and everything. It felt like they knew me and I was able to know them. And we were able to just have good conversations. I always liked the atmosphere within City. So I was really happy when, John reached out to me, and I think it was January or December, and said, hey, we're moving our U23 team into the UPSL. We want to bring in some more experienced guys and everything like that. We'd love to have you. And give you an opportunity to perform there, and if possible, move up into the first team. I'm like I'm in. Like it gives me an opportunity to play and be a part of something. Like I've always been a part of a team, and that's what motivates me. It's very hard for me to motivate myself without being in a team atmosphere. So
Sure.
I was really happy with that. So
yeah, I mean, when we were putting the rosters together, and this will kind of lead into my next question a little bit. We were looking at it from, we had no idea what the hell to expect out of the UPSL.
yeah,
And in all honesty, like throwing out just like kids on the cusp of the futures program and some guys returning from college that might not be, coming from bigger schools. Like we needed some experience there. So we were really lucky that we were able to dip back into the well. And it was the honest truth from that open trial process. We told guys like how you handle acceptance or rejection, it means something, because we will come back to the people we like that don't fit for right now. So you're definitely a testament of that. So technically Minneapolis City 2 was a first year team because we had the U23 squad. It manifested itself into the desire to put the team into a league. So it was a new team, as well as a new coaching staff, which was all new for the team you played on this summer. What was your take on Coach Prunty and the system that he had you guys playing all year?
Yeah, I mean, I was super excited to hear that our coach was also going to be from Iowa, if I'm being honest. So that gave me something to like kind of talk to him about at the very beginning. But no, honestly, Prunty was super knowledgeable. I mean, if you look at his Twitter feed, like the dude is
a student of soccer.
Yeah, exactly. He can literally just go on and on all day about like soccer tactics and all of that stuff. So it was really cool to play for him. It was the first time I think I've ever played in a 3-5-2 system, if I'm being honest. It's been a very long time since I played in a system where you had two forwards. I think the last time I played in a system with two forwards was high school when we played like a 4-4-2, right?
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I mean, like in college, it was always a 4-3-3 or a 4-5-1 or something like that. So it's been a long time since I played in a two forward system. So it was definitely an adjustment. But honestly, as an older guy that doesn't have the speed that he used to or the athleticism that he used to, it honestly kind of worked out for me. Obviously I've heard you guys talk about it like on the podcast and how like Cole and I were able to form a partnership. And then like, when Jacek came in, we were able to form a partnership. Like that really helped, having another forward beside me, because, when I was in college or when I was in Australia, like I was one of the faster guys. And now it's like, I've obviously put on 15, 20 pounds since then. So I don't have
muscle,
the
right?
speed.
You grew up is what you did. You grew up,
yeah,
Derek.
Exactly. I grew up. I started realizing what craft beer is and, all that stuff. So yeah, absolutely. I put on a little bit of weight.
But I wanted to talk about that partnership too, right? Like you and Cole, you mentioned you and Cole were a super dangerous pairing up top. Then you and Jacek. It was kind of this idea of like the wily veteran and the young college kid side by side. Like, how do you describe your approach to playing together with a younger guy? And why do you think that you found such success with it? Like, considering you had no familiarity with doing that really in the past.
Yeah, I think for me, it came with just experience and just being able to like slow the game down. At a college level, at a level when, you're working with guys that are 18 to 21 years old, they're always wanting to play at, 100 miles an hour every single game, every single second of every game. Where I've learned now to really just kind of slow the game down, let the game develop, let, opportunities develop, and everything like that. So, working with Cole and working with Yasik, obviously those are guys that like to run. You know, those guys have a lot of energy. They have a lot of stamina. They're very fast. So being able to work off of each other was very key. You know, you got myself who likes to drop back in, check to the ball, and then you got Yasik and Cole who like to make runs in behind. Like, you know, when you look at how Prunty kind of sets up his team and making runs and everything like that, like it just kind of worked. I mean, you know, me being able to drop in, Cole and Yasik being able to make runs in behind, all of that, like, you know, it just kind of worked. And I wouldn't say it was necessarily like a Cole and I partnership or a Yasik and I partnership. It was more of just like soccer mind, soccer IQs, knowing what to do at certain times.
Sure.
So, you know, both of those guys are more talented than I was at their age, if I'm being honest. Like, you know, I hadn't started playing soccer seriously until I was 17, 18 years old. Those guys have played with club teams. You know, Yasik was all-time leading goal scorer in Wisconsin high school history. You know, Cole's All-American his sophomore year of college. Like, these are guys that have so much more talent than I did at their age. So just that alone just helps me. You know, I have confidence in them. They have confidence in me. You know, all of that. So I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say like there was really anything special that kind of went into that other than just being able to trust each other and, you know, yeah. So
So outside of a bye, you were the oldest player on the team. Did either of the two strikers that you partnered with or any of the other younger guys lean on you for advice because of your experience?
Yeah. You know, you look at guys like Nils, right? Nils is a bigger dude, not necessarily the fastest guy. I try my best to really kind of instill in him kind of the same things that I do and kind of give him that, like, hey, like, you don't need to do all the work with the ball at your feet. You know, you're a big dude. You can fend off defenders with literally just your body size. Like, you don't even have to be strong. Like, dudes are going to look at you and be like, hey, you're a 6'4", 190-pound dude. I'm not going to try and like mess with you, kind of thing, you know? So you can literally just like do your own thing, back to goal, you know, all that stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys kind of look to me with experience with when it came to like experience and stuff like that. I'm not super vocal though. I think a lot of guys kind of realize that I'm not a very vocal leader. I'm more of a leader by example. You know, I show up to practice early, I leave late, you know, that type of thing. Not a very vocal leader. So I think that's one downfall of me is that, you know, I could be a little bit more vocal, but when it comes to just like being an example, I think that's what I was kind of brought in to do.
We're gonna have to fire our scheduler. We got a non-vocal guy on a podcast, Nate. I don't know.
Yeah,
I know.
I can't.
I know, right?
I
know, it's crazy.
I'm sure everyone can tell.
Yeah, exactly. So you fast forward to the end of the season.
Yes.
You guys start out with like a revolving door of players that is typical, you know, with a college heavy roster. You drop points with a draw against Minneapolis in the first game of the season, but then you walk off going unbeaten all the way to the national quarterfinals of the UPSL, eventually losing to the New York Contour, the eventual national champions. Talk to us about the team's journey that you guys went on this past summer together.
Yeah, absolutely. I will actually just point out really quickly that I was not in the roster or in the in the squad for that inter Minneapolis game.
True.
And I will also point out that every single game that I played in, we won in regular time. The games that I didn't play in, we either went into overtime or drew or lost when it came, with the New York Contour. So I'll just point that out really quickly.
What a team guy.
I know, right? So, but no, I mean, it was a lot, like you said. I mean, it was a lot of in and out when it came to players. But we were able to find, I think, a good core group that was able to be consistent, that really kind of helped us along the way. I mean, you look at guys like, obviously, Abai, our captain. Cole was there most of the year. You got Scotty, Logan, Ethan, Luke, obviously out on the wing back. I mean, Mitch was there up until playoffs. So, I mean, you did have probably a good core 6, 7, maybe 8 guys that were there every game, or most games. And then, you sprinkled in a few guys like, Streets. Connor was there at the beginning of the year. Yasik came in at the end of the year. Eric, Popkin came in. Zusi was there a couple of games. Having that core 6, 7, 8 guys really helped, obviously. Just being able to just kind of keep things, going forward, and just like understanding how Prunty's formation worked and system worked. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, I thought from a season perspective, like we definitely improved from beginning of the year to the end of the year. That New York Contour game was, that team was good.
They were really good.
They were really good. If you watch the game, like that team knew how to break you down. You could tell that they played together a bit, a lot of experience. They ended up winning the national championship. The whole thing.
Not bad to lose to a team that wins the national title.
No, never a bad thing to do that. So
unless it's the first round.
Right. Yeah, exactly. True. But I mean, it was really cool to see how the team progressed. And just kind of, bring in younger guys to kind of help us out in time. Yasik obviously being probably one of the bigger ones that you would kind of talk about, scoring 6 goals in 3 games that he played, everything like that. So
that helps.
It definitely helps. It definitely helps. Right. And yeah, it was fun to be a part of, for sure. Watching the development of the players. I know that like my one season that I played at the NPSL level, between my college seasons, so like between my junior and senior year when I played with Quad City Eagles, just getting that coaching, that extra coaching and like working with a team of players that, we're all trying to develop themselves and get better. Like, it's huge. Those guys are going to go into, or they probably have gone into this next college season and been like, holy crap, like the game slowed down for me.
Yeah.
It's a huge developmental thing, for those guys. Not for like guys like Abai and I, who are really just like, I guess for me at least, like I'm not trying to like develop myself into a professional player at this point. Like I do this because I love to play. But like those guys that are still young and still in college, like it's big. It's a huge experience for them to like play with guys at this level, play against competition like that. And it just helps the game slow down for them when it comes to, the college level and everything like that. So,
Derek, there could be a lot of them. but what was your favorite moment of this past season?
Oh man. Oh yeah, there was a ton. I think my favorite moment was probably winning the regular season regular season conference championship and like being able to, celebrate with the team. It was kind of, I thought we were gonna pull an NPSL team where we were gonna have a celebration without a win. I was kind of nervous about that because we went down to 10 men like within the first 5 minutes of that game where we were going to celebrate.
Yeah, Logan got that red card right away.
Logan got that red card, and I was like, oh crap! Like
here it goes.
We're supposed to celebrate after this game. We're down to 10 men. Like this isn't going to be good. Like I do not want to celebrate after losing the game. So being able to win that game 5-1, just completely take it to turbo when we were down to 10 men was huge. And then just being able to celebrate with the team. Prunty was there still at that point during that game. Everybody was there. Being able to celebrate, pop champagne bottles, drink out of the cup, all of that stuff. that was probably my most favorite moment of the season for sure. Being able to win that first championship or that first cup.
My favorite moment was your bicycle kick goal where you broke your collarbone, unfortunately, afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely up there. That was probably my number 2. I don't remember it. If I'm being honest, I don't remember it because I knocked myself out for 10 seconds. But, when I look at the video, I'm like, holy crap, I've never done that before. And that was pretty badass. So, yeah.
Dude, all these young college kids just shot some youthful exuberance in you, and you got up and pulled off the scissors kick.
Yeah.
We got one last question, then we'll get into a little game here. So I like to ask all of our player guests, what's the one thing you think that the club can do better that we're not doing or that we can refine?
That's a good question. Oh man, you're gonna put me on the spot with that one.
And we're not even at the game yet, so you better gear up, man.
I know, no kidding. One thing that the club can do better.
I mean, it could be nothing if you think that we're doing everything right.
No, I mean, there's always room for improvement when it comes to, clubs getting bigger and improving and everything like that. I think from my perspective, I would. I'm trying to think of something.
Well, you don't have to. I mean, it kind of is. You're kind of answering the question without answering the question, and that
right. I mean,
that we try to do the little things right. We try to make a good environment for the team and for the players, and we try to, prepare the teams for each week. We try to be fair within the confines of competitive soccer. We try to do things off the field. So there are a lot of things that over the years we've grown. So if in your opinion, it's good where it lays, that's totally cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing that I would kind of say is, you had a lot of, the club had a lot of first team, like fringe players, so to say, that maybe didn't get a lot of minutes on the first team, but being able to sell them on the fact that like the second team still plays in a good competition. You look at guys like Mark Boquin, Stevenson Lamar, those types of guys that didn't get a lot of minutes with the first team, but they could have made a big difference with the second team, right? If we had them in the playoffs, that could have made a big difference when it came to playing against like the Contour and everything like that.
Sure.
Being able just maybe being able to sell them on the fact that, like, hey, like, even though you're not playing on the first team this week, like, you've got a good opportunity to get some good minutes and, make a difference at our second team level.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's something that we are actually taking a look at, Derek.
Yeah.
So perfect timing to drop that in. So we are now at game time. So we played many games on this show. We've had some word association. Unfortunately, you weren't on to participate in Ask John Anything. That was a really popular game that we played. But this game that we're playing these days, it's now 6 months on the shelf. We're bringing it back. It's called Crowfax. So here's how the game works. We'll ask you a series of 3 crow-related questions.
Okay.
They can be about the club, maybe a player, a specific match, or just the bird. So an example could be, who is one current crow who also has Iowa roots? And you would say?
I would say, who else has Iowa roots?
We might have already talked about
Prunty.
it. There you go. So there's your answer. So so does the game make sense now? Are you good?
Yeah.
You line up your phone a friend?
Yep.
Okay, so number 1. Seeing that you're a guy who loves to put the ball in the back of the net, who's the club's all-time leading goal scorer?
Will Kidd.
So I try to give you sometimes people get
easy one.
Sometimes people get the sample question wrong, so I like to at least try to have my one there. Okay, so now we're gonna turn the heat up a little bit here. So typically crows, the bird, they like to travel in packs. And seeing a specific number of crows together has what scientists believe actual meaning. What do scientists say that seeing 10 crows means? Told you I was going to turn the heat up.
Trying to think here. Man, that is tough.
It's one of those crow facts that you can then drop at the bar later on.
Yeah. Is it a folklore?
I mean, is that your answer?
It is.
The answer is that scientists believe that seeing 10 crows is a sign that your luck is about to turn around.
Scientists say that.
Scientists,
You're
science
killing
people, the science people. So you can, you're just talking casually to someone and you say, hey, I saw 10 crows the other day. You know what that means? Well, it means that your luck's about to turn around. So you're welcome for that. You're welcome for that. Okay, last one. You're knowledgeable of the lower league soccer landscape. You played in it here with us with the Twin Stars. You played in Iowa. We've played teams from all over the country as a club in our soon to be 7 years. Can you name 5 out of the 10 states, or 10 out of 10 if you want to get really into it? Can you name at least 5 of the states outside of Minnesota where we have played a team from?
Michigan.
Okay, that's 1.
3-1. Ohio.
That's 1. That's 2.
South Dakota.
South Dakota. That's 3.
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin is 4.
And the Iowa.
And Iowa is 5. Do you want to try to go for the 10?
Let's see here.
I'll give you a quick refresher.
Illinois.
Okay, Illinois is 6. So you've said Wisconsin, Michigan, New York, Iowa. You said Ohio. Yeah, South Dakota. Okay, keep going.
New York.
Yeah, looking at my notes here. I realize it's actually only 9. I used Minnesota, so we'll give you that one. That's the free space.
There you go.
So
let's see here. Nebraska is 1. So actually there was 10. I was wrong. So Nebraska's 1. So you got 1 more, 2 more. You're at 9. Or you're at 8. I'm at 8. Okay. Trying to think who else would have been there.
You can bow out very gracefully if you'd like.
Texas.
No. So I'll stop you there. So what we were looking for was Colorado. We played the Harpos.
Okay.
And North Dakota.
North Dakota.
Yeah.
I was gonna guess North Dakota, but
you were close. I'll give you a B+ on that one.
There we go.
Okay.
I knew Iowa because I knew you guys played the Quad City Eagles at one point.
Well, also the Iowa Raptors and the very famous dog on the field.
True,
game.
Dog on the field. Yeah, absolutely.
I
thought we were talking just NPSL.
No, just the club in general.
The club itself. Okay.
Yeah. You got. It's just like school, Derek. You got to read the full question.
Oh man, it's tough. Tough to do.
Well, it's Crow facts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Derek, thank you so much for joining us, man. Sorry.
Awesome to have you.
Go ahead.
Glad you could. We could finally get you on the calendar.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your mom called us so many times.
I know. It's like, geez,
did she? What? I wouldn't put it past Mom D, if I'm being honest.
Dude, I had to change my number. I was like, okay, we'll get him on. Just give us some time here. But no, man, thanks so much for joining us. It's been awesome to have you with the club. In the short time period you're in, and really, really glad that we were able to make it work. And like we talked about, it was a little bit of a windy path, but we're happy it worked out. And once a crow, always a crow, man.
Great getting to know you, Derek.
Dude. Yeah, I'm super excited to be a part of the club, and I appreciate you guys bringing me on. Looking forward to what the future has in store for the club, for sure.
All right, awesome, man. Well, thanks so much. We'll talk to you later, Derek.
Yep, see you guys.
All right, bye. That is all for this week's show. Thank you to Derek, as well as our show sponsor, footballstadiumprints.com. You might know footballstadiumprints.com for their massive selection of prints and shirts featuring all of soccer's iconic pitches, including Edor Nelson Field. But did you know that he has also added players into the mix, too? Now you can get the Matt Elder on a super soft t-shirt. So you can do like I do and stare into his eyes every morning while you do your daily Stuart Smalley affirmations in the mirror. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And when I Porky Pig it around the house in my new Matt Elder shirt, my neighbors go nuts. Head on over to footballstadiumprints.com and use code CROWS10. That's CROWS10 to save yourself 10% off on all of their new shirts. But most importantly, the new Matt Elder. They ship right from the United States, so you don't have to worry about any outrageous international shipping fees. Footballstadiumprints.com. We love them, and you should too, at least as much as you love Matt Elder. If giving back to the community means a lot to you, maybe it's time to give to the club that loves to give back. Minneapolis City is a 501c3 that provides a safe, reliable, and fun environment for young people to play the beautiful game. Look for us, pretty soon coming out with lots of different community events, as the weather turns bad and turns good again, playing with the young folk in parks and community centers around the city, and consider a tax-deductible donation to a truly city-focused organization. It's never a bad time to become a cool Minneapolis City member. Their tickets are on sale now for $99 for a full season pass, all the way down to $50 for an out-of-town membership. You can support the club, get some cool stuff in return. You can get an exclusive cool membership scarf, a cool membership card that gets you 10% off at the club shop, and other super cool deals. You also get
I forgot to discuss this one, so it's super cool.
You also get a voice on important club matters, including selection of membership board, choosing the scarf and kit designs, which are going to be new this year, which is going to be exciting, super cool, totally cool. So visit mplscitysc.com and make it happen. Send us mail. It's easy. Hit us up on Twitter at The People's Pitch or through email at mcscpodcast@gmail.com. All questions, comments, and concerns are welcome. And finally, as always, you can hit up the club, complain to Dan at MPLSCitySC. That is all for this week's show, folks. I am John. That was Derek. That was Nate. Join us in 2 weeks and as we fully welcome yet another long overdue guest. But until then, we got hooked.